How to turn on a woman you're attracted to. Why holding back turns her on more than you realize. Most men think that giving more gets them more compliments, more attention, more effort. But here's the truth. The more you give untested, the less she feels. Emotionally, biologically, instinctually. Because her attraction doesn't spike when you open the vault. It spikes when you make her wonder what's inside. High-value men know this. They understand the art of holding back, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect, out of power, out of an identity that doesn't chase, because it knows it's already the reward. Women don't respond to pursuit. They respond to polarity, tension, mystery, and the kind of masculine restraint that signals, I don't need to impress you. You need to figure me out. These 10 psychological triggers will change how you understand women and yourself forever. 1. She doesn't chase you because she knows you'll eventually cave. But here's the twist. Women don't initiate pursuit the way men expect, not because they lack interest, but because they've evolved to test certainty first. If you're always available, always responding instantly, always leaning forward, she instinctively knows you're a low-threat male. Easy to decode, predictable, accessible. Attraction doesn't ignite in clarity. It ignites in uncertainty. Why? Because uncertainty triggers emotional investment. When something is predictable, her brain closes the file. Got it next. But when something is uncertain, when a man withholds attention just enough to make her doubt herself, her reward system lights up. The chase begins internally. That's the key. She doesn't chase with her actions at first. She chases with her thoughts. The more space you give her to interpret, analyze, question, and wonder, the more real estate you own in her mind. This isn't about playing games. It's about embodying selectivity. When you don't instantly fold under her softness or signals, you send a primal message. I'm not moved by surface. You have to earn my depth. Recognize this dynamic the next time you feel the urge to overtext, overvalidate, or overpursue. Pause. Create space. Let silence do the heavy lifting. When you hold your frame here, she doesn't just feel intrigued, she feels challenged. And challenge is the gateway to desire. But this next trigger, it hits even deeper, because it bypasses logic and targets her self-worth. 2. She wants your attention, but only if it costs you something. Here's what most men don't realize. Women calibrate your attention by how rare it is, not how nice it is. If you give your attention easily, it signals a lack of discernment. A woman's subconscious reads that as, he doesn't value his own time, energy, or emotional bandwidth. That means your attention holds no currency, no weight. But when a man withholds, not in bitterness but in principle, everything shifts. Suddenly, her psychology leans in. Why? Because value is always determined by sacrifice. And when your attention is rare, it feels earned. This taps directly into identity validation. A woman's ego doesn't light up when you compliment her. It lights up when you finally do, after holding back, after showing she passed your internal filter. If you're giving attention without cost, you're not giving value. You're leaking energy. And in the dating world, energy leaks are punished with indifference. Here's how to use this. Treat your attention like an exclusive currency. Don't give it just because she's pretty, flirty, or available. Give it because she did something rare. She penetrated your standards. She showed alignment. She passed a subtle test she didn't even know she was taking. Now she feels it. The shift. The difference between every other guy who offers approval on credit and the man who makes her earn emotional investment like it's gold. When you do this right, she doesn't just want more of your attention. She starts needing it, because you've turned it into a reflection of her value, not yours. But the next behavior is where most men fall off, because it's not about what you do. It's about what you don't explain. 3. She needs to guess where she stands, because certainty kills desire. Here's the brutal truth. Desire doesn't live in comfort. It lives in contrast. Most men make the mistake of trying to reassure too early. Don't worry. I really like you. You're amazing. I'm not going anywhere. It sounds noble, but it's psychological poison. Why? Because certainty collapses emotional tension, and without tension, there is no pull. When a woman doesn't quite know where she stands with you, her brain enters a state of mild emotional discomfort. Not fear, discomfort. That's the sweet spot. That's where the real emotional bonding happens. Because now she starts investing, analyzing, playing out scenarios in her mind, all driven by one primal question: how do I get closer to him? It's not manipulation, it's human nature. We value what we can't fully hold. So, when you withhold full confirmation, when you don't spell out your feelings too soon, she leans in. She works harder. She starts auditioning for your approval instead of assuming it's guaranteed. And that subtle imbalance, where she's trying to win you over without a clear scoreboard, triggers the same reward-seeking circuits as gambling, social validation, and status climbing. Use this dynamic by practicing strategic ambiguity. Don't be cold, don't be dismissive, be warm, but undefined. Let her feel connection, but don't wrap it in a bow. Let her wonder where this is going. Let her question whether she's the one pulling you in, or if you're just enjoying the moment. When you live in this space, you create a magnetism that certainty can never replicate. Hold back your full reveal, and you won't just keep her interest. You'll keep her invested. But the next trigger is where true power lives, because it's not about words at all. It's about presence. 4. She feels more when you speak less, because silence amplifies emotional signal. Silence isn't passive, it's powerful, and most men are terrified of it. When a man rushes to fill every silence, explain every reaction, and over-clarify every emotion, he signals one thing loud and clear: insecurity. And insecurity kills polarity. A high-value man uses silence like a scalpel. He knows that presence, not performance, is what creates tension. Women are hypersensitive to emotional signals. They pick up on micro-reactions, tone shifts, and energy changes. So when you don't react instantly, when you hold eye contact without commentary, when you pause instead of answering right away, she feels it. And more importantly, she feels herself reacting. This is emotional displacement at work. Your silence becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, she sees her own desire more clearly. She starts wondering, why does this feel intense? Why am I thinking about him after we stop talking? That's not about you being mysterious. It's about you giving her space to feel. Men try to convince. Masculine restraint allows her to convince herself. Here's how to use this. In moments where you'd normally overshare, fill the gap, or try to steer the mood, stop, breathe. Let her lean in. Let her fill the silence. If you're on a date and there's a pause, don't panic. Let it stretch. Let her feel your groundedness, your calm, your unreactive nature. Because in a world of noise, the man who is unmoved becomes magnetic. When you embody this, you're no longer trying to create attraction. You're letting it unfold around your stillness. But the next point, it's even more subtle, and it reveals how attraction reverses when you resist one specific urge. 5. She loses interest when you escalate too soon, because anticipation is the true aphrodisiac. Most men think escalation is about speed. Move fast, or she'll lose interest. But the reality is the opposite. When you escalate too quickly, you destroy the most potent force in female arousal: anticipation. Here's what's happening under the surface. When a woman meets a man she's intrigued by, her body responds slowly. Her emotions bloom in stages. And if you try to fast forward those stages, through early touching, overt compliments, or sexual hints, you override her internal narrative. Her body hasn't caught up yet. And when a man forces the frame, it feels invasive, not exciting. But when you hold back, when you flirt without touching, when you connect without chasing, when you suggest without confirming, something powerful happens. Her brain starts scripting, imagining, filling in blanks, and that internal storytelling is everything. Why? Because evolutionary psychology favors slow-building tension in high-value mating scenarios. It gives her time to assess your genetic value, emotional intelligence, and social dominance, all without overt effort on your part. This is where status recalibration occurs. When you hold back escalation, she subconsciously upgrades your perceived value. If he's not rushing, he must have options. If he's not pushing, he must be used to women chasing him. That shift is what turns interest into obsession. Here's how to use it. Let the tension breathe. If she's expecting you to make a move, delay it. If the energy is rising, let it stretch. Make her wonder when you'll go there, not if you will. That delay triggers a chemical anticipation loop, where every second she waits, she wants more. When you master this, she doesn't just crave your touch. She craves the moment before it happens. 6. She mirrors your restraint, because women calibrate off emotional leadership. What most men don't understand is that women don't set the emotional tone. They respond to it, not consciously, but evolutionarily. Female emotional wiring is reactive by design. It evolved that way for survival. Assess the dominant emotional signal in the environment, then attune to it. So if you come in anxious, hyper-expressive, or trying too hard, she mirrors that. She'll either match your energy in a performative way, or feel turned off because your energy lacks grounding. But if you hold your emotional frame, calm, sparse, intentional, she tunes into that. When you withhold over-explanation, oversharing, or over-investment, it's not just restraint, it's leadership. And in female psychology, leadership equals safety. Not the kind of safety that's soft and emotional, but primal safety. This man won't get rattled. He isn't begging for rapport. He's in control of his state. That's incredibly attractive because it signals reproductive advantage. A man who doesn't react easily is a man who can protect, provide, and perform under pressure. She might not consciously think that, but her nervous system feels it. This is emotional gravity. Your restraint pulls her into your orbit. She starts matching your tone. She speaks slower. She looks for cues. She reacts more to less. Here's the move. Speak slightly less than you want to. Reveal slightly less than you could. Allow silences. Let tension exist without trying to fix it. Every time you do, you increase her emotional dependence on your lead. When you lead from restraint, she doesn't just feel turned on. She feels pulled in, as if your energy gives hers permission to settle. And the next trigger? It reveals a deeper paradox, one that most men fear, but few ever master. 7. She's more aroused by what you deny her than what you give her. Let's cut through the noise. Desire thrives on denial, not punishment. Denial, the kind that tells her, I could give you this, but I won't, not yet. This dynamic goes straight to the core of evolutionary wiring. When something is freely available, it signals abundance, low cost, low competition. But when something is withheld, especially by choice, it signals selectivity, status, and discipline. This is the paradox. The more you deny, the more you're desired. It shows up in micro moments. She leans in physically. You lean back. She hints at emotional availability. You give her warmth, but no guarantee. She tests your neediness and finds none. Why does this matter? Because female attraction is loss-averse. She wants to win what others can't. So when you withhold gratification, even subtly, you create an invisible ladder she has to climb. Every rung she ascends builds more emotional stake. And the wild part? She doesn't resent this. She respects it. She might act annoyed, call you mysterious, challenge your indifference. But underneath, her attraction is growing because she sees you as a man with options, with boundaries, with purpose beyond pleasing her. Here's how to wield this powerfully. Delay the reward. Not forever, but long enough that it means something. Make her feel the cost of your approval, your touch, your time. When she finally gets it, it won't just feel good. It'll feel earned. And that feeling rewires her entire response to you. Now you're not just a man she likes, you're a man she had to earn. And that makes her attraction to you feel like an accomplishment. Next up, a trigger most guys overlook entirely, because it starts after the interaction ends. 8. She obsesses more when you exit at the peak, not the end. Most men drain their own power by overstaying. They think connection deepens with time. So they stretch conversations, linger after dates, send just one more message. And in doing so, they miss the single most potent attraction amplifier, the strategic exit. Here's the psychology. The brain remembers peaks, not durations. This is called emotional anchoring. If you leave when energy is high, you get anchored to that emotion. If you drag it out, you dilute the intensity. When you exit at the peak, something strange happens in her mind. Her emotional story gets interrupted. Her subconscious goes, wait, it was just getting good. And that unresolved arc becomes obsession fuel. She starts replaying the moment, wondering what could have happened if you stayed, wanting more just to finish the story. This creates what's called psychological incompletion, and it's more powerful than any compliment or physical move. Here's what to do. Cut things short on purpose. If the vibe is great, end the date while it's still rising. If the text exchange is playful, stop mid-flirt. If the energy is building, pull back just slightly. Not to frustrate her, to leave her emotionally suspended. Now she doesn't just remember you, she replays you. That replay loop becomes attachment, and because you ended it, you control the next entry point. This isn't a game, it's a display of abundance. You're not desperate to squeeze more out of the moment, because you are the moment. She'll want it again, and this time, she'll be the one reaching. Master this, and you don't just get remembered, you get imprinted. But the next point reveals the deepest frame test of all, and most men fail it within seconds. 9. She pushes boundaries, to see if you'll choose her over yourself. Every high-energy, emotionally intense woman will do this. not to manipulate, but to measure you. She'll throw a curve, say something that tests your values, ask for a favor that crosses a line, suggest something that compromises your standards. And in that moment, she's not just seeing how flexible you are. She's watching to see if you'll abandon yourself to win her. If you do, game over. Why? Because a man who folds under female pressure signals weakness. Not physical weakness, identity weakness. And that triggers evolutionary revulsion. It sounds harsh, but it's real. Women are repelled by men who self-abandon. But when you say no, when you protect your time, your principles, your schedule, or your pace, even when she pushes, that's when her deeper brain lights up. This man can lead me. He won't betray himself for access. He holds his truth, even against me. That's rare. That's sexy. This is frame integrity, the ability to stay rooted in who you are while still being open. It's not about being rigid or dominant. It's about being unshakable. And the moment you demonstrate it, she feels something she doesn't even fully understand. Trust. Here's the move. Whenever you feel a subtle pull to betray your gut, pause. Ask, am I doing this for alignment or for approval? If the answer is approval, decline. Gently, firmly. Watch how she reacts. If she walks away, she was never for you. If she leans in, you've just passed a test most men never even see. And that leads to the final trigger, the one that ties everything together and flips the entire dynamic. 10. She wants to surrender, but only to a man who's already full. This is the final layer, the truth that redefines everything else. Attraction for a woman is ultimately about safety and surrender. Not safety from danger, but safety from performing. And she can only surrender emotionally, sexually, or spiritually when she feels your center is already full. If you're chasing her to feel validated, she won't relax. If you need her to feel like a man, she'll resist. If your identity is hooked on her attention, she'll feel the weight and pull away. But when you're full on your own, when your validation is internal, when your attention is deliberate, not needy, that's when she melts. That's when the mask drops. Because now she senses, this man isn't trying to get something. He is something. It's evolutionary. Her body relaxes when she doesn't feel needed for your identity. Her mind opens when she doesn't feel responsible for your emotions. Her attraction spikes when she sees you're already claimed by your own life. This is the essence of masculine polarity. You're not looking for her to complete you. You're choosing her to complement you. And when a woman feels chosen, not chased, she enters her deepest feminine. That's the shift. The difference between men who seek women to feel enough and men who attract women because they already are. When you withhold not out of fear, but fullness, she doesn't just want you. She trusts you. And that trust is the foundation of everything she's actually craving. If you're becoming the kind of man who no longer gives himself away, but makes her rise to meet your standards, like this video and subscribe to Joyanima.